There's a strangely naked woman. That's all I'm going to say. Welcome to Modern Horror Stories podcast with Jamie, Dave, and Alex. And today we're going to be talking about the 2001 movie 13 Ghosts, directed by Steve Beck. And we usually give a score at the beginning. So we jump straight in and see how we feel about it. So why don't we do that now? Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay. So one of the lower rated films that we've talked about. Jamie, would you like to give a synopsis?
Sure, yeah. So this is the film opens with a scene of ghost hunting, and then we jump to a family who's lost the mother has died, and they're in debt and they're really struggling. And then a lawyer knocks on the door and says, "Hello, your uncle, who was the ghost hunter, has died and left you a house and a fortune. Come and see the house." And they go and see the house, but the house is haunted by a certain number of ghosts. So, I'll leave you to figure out how many. But yeah, then the film proceeds to watch the family struggle with the difficulties of the haunting. And these are, I should say, these are extremely violent ghosts. They're out for blood. So it's not just like chairs being found in different places than they were left. It's a gore fest.
Yeah. So I mean, I suppose I should start because I put the lowest score down. I'm going to start by a little disclaimer, just saying well done to the filmmakers for making this film. I really like a lot of the people who are involved in this. And what I'm about to say does not take away from the fact that I like the people involved with this. But it is worth me saying that I did have a headache by the end of the film. It is so sort of frenetically and frantically edited that it is quite difficult to watch at times. The sort of, it goes at this unbelievable pace. In fact, the only time where the film gets a chance to slow down is when we see these sort of gratuitous bits where Tony Shalhoub's daughter will walk into a bathroom and suddenly the editor will decide that they're going to go in slow motion for a bit. And yes, so this film did sort of push me a little bit because of its speed and the way that it just ran through everything. There are some really fun performances in this, but nobody's quite managed to find the sort of same tonal... no one's quite managed to find the same tone. I think the person who does it best is F. Murray Abraham, who has this brilliant sort of camp hammy thing going on, and it is the perfect camp hammy thing for the film, whereas every other actor's doing a slightly different version of it. Tony Shalhoub's doing his hammy thing, like in Galaxy Quest, but it's again not quite the same as Abrams. Everyone's doing something slightly. Matthew Lillard, brilliant actor. He's doing Shaggy and Scooby-Doo, which is great fun to watch. But again, the headache, I think it all comes back down to the headache. And that's because of the pace of the film. And I think this film, my opinion on this film can just be summed up by the fact that it's from 2001, and it can't be separated from the 2001-ness of it. It is such a 2001 film, and it really sort of throws itself into that. You can't separate it from the fact that it's from 2001. Yeah, but I'm curious as to what you guys think, because I've just been ranting. So
interesting. So I watched it feeling like it belonged in the 80s.
The tone of it, no, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, totally. I felt it was straight out of the 80s. And if people join us tomorrow for how we would improve the film, I've got really what I think is a great way to improve the film. But I agree with pretty much everything you said, Alex. And it's really interesting you talk about the headaches, because I did a bit of reading, and apparently that was quite a common report of people finding it just too frenetic. I mean, it didn't give me a headache, but yeah, it's. I think it's written in the wiki page that some people said that, which surprised me at the time. I liked Matthew Lillard. I liked the lawyer character. I agree that tonally they're all over the place. I like Matthew Lillard throughout, but he kind of plays three different characters. There's another positive was there's a part in the film, I saw it twice, and I did like it slightly more the second time I saw it. And I realized that while one character actually sees their own death, which I didn't see the first time, and I thought they could have played more on that. And the other positive about it was on the DVD, there's some nice extras in which they go into each of the 13 ghosts.
I read about this, yeah.
Yeah, and some of that stuff could have gone in the film. The backstory, they'd obviously got a good backstory for all these ghosts. And some of it could have easily slipped into the film and given it more depth. In terms of the negatives, I didn't give a shit about anyone dying. In fact, I really wanted the whole family to perish in that house, apart from Matthew Lillard. People's reactions seemed wrong a lot of the time, not least about this house. I mean, it's the most amazing house you could possibly inherit. And they're kind of like, yeah, let's get inside. Let's see what this house is about. And I'm like, my mind is blown by this house. There's a strangely naked woman. That's all I'm going to say. Because you've got to see it to believe it. And the glasses, which were a big part of the film, really annoyed me, because it seemed like they almost had an effect about whether you could be attacked by the ghosts or not. There was a scene in the bathroom where one character is nearly attacked, and actually this isn't glasses related, but there's a scene. Tony Shalhoub's daughter is in the bathroom. She's just about to be attacked, and the only reason she isn't attacked is two other characters come into the bathroom. The logic behind the film doesn't seem to make any sense. The rules of the world are all over the place, and Tony Shalhoub only needed two lines, really, I think, which is, "I just need to find my son, and this doesn't make any sense." He says those about 3 times, and I think that's all you need.
And Bobby, over and over again. Bobby! Where's Bobby? Bobby!
But at a certain point, it feels like he forgets that. Like he doesn't forget it, but he goes on like a little side quest with Matthew Lillard, and I can't remember exactly what they were trying to do. Maybe they were trying to look for his children. I can't remember, but there seems to be a point where he even says, "I don't know if my kids are alive or dead," but he doesn't seem that shook up about it. I mean, I know a lot has happened that evening, but yeah, I didn't really buy the urgency. There didn't seem to be any urgency. Like from halfway through the film, the kids are gone, and there doesn't seem to be this constant driving chase towards getting back to them. There's all other elements of plot coming in, and I feel like surely Tony Shalhoub's character would just be like, "Just shut up, everyone. Let's go and find my kids. I don't really care about the lore of this world that you've just introduced me to." And yeah, I agree about the consistency. There's very how the glasses work. Like I couldn't tell whether the glasses only worked sometimes or whether it was a filmmaking choice that we could only see the ghosts sometimes. So sometimes when the characters put on the glasses, we see the ghosts clearly for extended periods of time. Sometimes they put on the glasses, and the opening sequence is a good example of that. Everyone has glasses on, but we don't see the ghost. And then at other times the ghost flashes in and out, and I don't know whether that's what the characters are seeing or whether that's just part of the headache-inducing filmmaking that they're going for. I didn't get a headache from this, but it was I just couldn't tell what we were supposed to be seeing and what the characters were actually seeing. And I agree about Matthew Lillard playing 3 different characters in this. Like the whole opening sequence, he's incredibly sensitive to the presence of ghosts and even the history of what they've done. And he can pinpoint with accuracy where the ghost is. And then he steps into this house with 13 of them, well, 12 of them. Spoilers, sorry. and he can't figure out where any of them are. Or like, I don't know. He needs the glasses to be able to see them, and he's not. He goes in. Sometimes he goes into seizures when he's near a ghost, and suddenly he's surrounded by them, and he's not going into seizures. And also there's a couple of surprises in there, which he has the ability to know what's around him, and he doesn't see those surprises coming. And I find that hard to square up with everything else, because there's the whole thing where he touched the ground earlier, and then later in the film he's got his face pressed up against this glass, and he's not getting anything from it. So yeah, lots of inconsistency. I didn't really understand. So there's one character that appears and does an exposition dump, and I have no idea what her character's role is in the film. I don't understand it. I don't understand what she has to do with the evil plot or anything else. I don't really get it.
There's a solid 2 minutes where she's explaining this stuff in this technical jargon that makes no sense whatsoever. And I just sort of turned off, I think, at that point. Not physically, not literally, but my brain just, I just decided, and we can cut this bit out if you like.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I felt like they wanted there to be twists, and they really had to manufacture them.
Yeah, they were very artificial.
Which is a shame, because I think they had a really good setup. Like, the set was extraordinary.
Oh, the set's incredible, yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen one quite like it.
One of my favourite lines in the film, it was about the set, and it was Matthew Lillard.
Let's
get back on.
Yeah, let's
Back on
that line. Yeah, so if you're watching, you may have noticed a little jump in which we had a whole load of spoilers, okay? And if you want to hear what those spoilers are, we'll put them right at the end of the video. So we're going to shove them to the end. But we're going to return to the non-spoiler part of this chat.
So I watched this film when it first came out at the cinema, and I was truly terrified. Like, I'd never seen a ghost story like it. Like I said, I've seen ghost stories where the table levitates or something, but I haven't seen one where the ghosts were full on, high speed, brutal. And the opening scene of the film is extremely violent and aggressive and fast paced and hard hitting. And so that got me scared to start with. And then being trapped in a glass house full of ghosts who were all trying to attack you was really scary. And some of the prosthetics and makeup are quite disturbing, or at least I felt they were back then. And the whole idea that this guy might lose his whole family, and they're still reeling from the mother's death as well. And it was just, I found it so intense and so scary. Watching it again now, 23 years later, it doesn't quite have the same impact as it did when I watched it then. And back then I would have given it a score of 9, because I found it truly scary, and I didn't notice any of the plot holes. I didn't notice any of the inconsistencies. I'd only just recently watched Scream for the first time and adored Matthew Lillard from that. And then to see him again on screen was really exciting. And yeah, so they didn't have any of those impacts now. And yeah, I noticed some flaws with it, but still the set, all these years later, the set is mind-blowing. And so much of it is real physical, as far as I can tell. Some of it is not, but almost all of it, as far as I can tell, is they've actually built this thing, and it's an extraordinary creation. Really amazing.
And I think that the best line, in my opinion, the best line in the whole film is about the set. It's Matthew Lillard. He goes, how can somebody lose their family in a transparent house or something like that? It's just it was what I was thinking the entire time, and I was just so happy that you said it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was one of my favorite moments in the film. Matthew Lillard's very good value. I think it'll always make me laugh.
Yeah.
And on that positive note, we'll bring this to a close. If you've got thoughts about the movie 13 Ghosts, why don't you drop them in the comments below? And if you want to hear all the spoilers that we have edited out, they're going to follow our goodbye wave. So hopefully see you soon.
We can cut this bit out if you like. But what was Cyrus's evil plan? What was it? I know he wanted to get some ghosts together, and he wanted to get them all in the same place.
He wanted to open the eye of hell.
Oh yes, the Ocularis Infernum, or whatever. Why did he want that?
I think it can see the past, present, and future. I think she said.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I didn't explain what.
I did switch off during that bit of jargon, and it did just. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't know what he was planning to do with that, and I also didn't know why the woman said to Tony Shalhoub, "If you jump into this and sacrifice yourself, it will short circuit everything and shut it down." But then later, F. Murray Abraham is saying, "You need to jump into this to complete my plan."
Well, it's because she was a double agent, wasn't she?
True.
I suppose that's probably why. But
yeah. But
these are major spoilers.
These are major spoilers. We're just going to have to cut this bit. It's fine.
It's a happy ending, everyone. Sorry. Yeah.
Also, sorry, I'm going to continue with the spoilers just because I'm curious. I just want to chat about this now. But he wasn't dead in the end.
No.
Cyrus, because they took the glasses off and they could still see him.
Yeah.
Had he faked his own death, or had he found some kind of had he found some kind of halfway house between life and death, or?
Well, the second time I watched it, the first time I watched it, I assumed he was dead throughout, and then the second time I thought he's obviously not dead. But although this takes place, weeks after the scene we saw at the beginning, he's still got makeup and blood around his neck. Why did he need that?
It's another question. I guess he was expecting at some point that he would have to tell Tony Shalhoub to jump into the thing, and he had to appear as a ghost to him, I guess. But then they wrestle and fight, and he's obviously not a ghost. Yeah. And also, you would need the woman as well if that was his plan. I don't know.
True.
Also, why was the woman? I get why she was a double agent in the house, as just a way to steer the characters. But why? A, why come in so late? She could have come in earlier. B, why was she there at the start as a double agent? What was that about?
Yeah, I wondered that.
What was the purpose?
Did he know that Matthew Lillard was going to turn up and get into the house on the same night, and so they needed to have this woman be already introduced as a sort of antagonist to Cyrus? But even so, she could just turn up and say, "Hey, I'm an expert on this stuff." We wouldn't have had to have seen her in an antagonistic role. I don't get it.
Yeah, I felt like they wanted there to be twists, and they really had to manufacture them